Hi everybody and welcome back. In this video I want to look at an example of slope with a negative trend. And the example I've given you here is, imagine that a group of students or people are doing a fitness test and the maximum that they can score is 100 on this fitness test. And what we're trying to figure out is whether their body fat percentage has an effect on their fitness score. Now, for those of you that don't know, body fat percentage is a measurement that sometimes is done where they figure out how much of your body weight is made up of fat and how much is made out of muscle. I don't know exactly how they figure that out, but there's ways to do it with modern medicine stuff. And generally what people find is that a healthy body fat percentage is probably in between 8 to 15%. Once you start getting a higher body fat percentage, you can still, function and do your daily stuff, but you're not as healthy. So you want to try to keep your body fat percentage to something that's fairly low. And you can do that by exercising regularly and eating healthfully, trying not to eat too much fatty stuff and trying to get out on a daily basis for some kind of aerobic exercise like running or playing around on the playground. Okay, maybe even a long walk would be nice. But when you look at this graph, what is the line telling you? The slope is important. Remember, the purposes of this graph and this video is to once again emphasize the importance of slope and what the slopes can tell us when we look at a graph. So look at that line, and what is it telling us about the relationship that exists between body fat percentage and your fitness score? What do you think it's telling us? Try to make a statement in your head about what it's telling us. Okay, so if you understand the graph, what it's telling us is as the body fat percentage increases, the fitness score goes down. Now, does that make sense? Well, it should, because people with a higher body fat percentage may not do as well on a fitness test because they're going to find it harder to run fast and change directions and things like that. So who knows what the fitness test is? Maybe it involves a bunch of running and jumping, right? But whatever it is, what we see is that as this group of people has shown us, as your body fat percentage increases, in other words, as you go to the right on this graph, as you go to the right in this direction, right, the fitness scores go down. They go down. Okay, so the trend is down and to the right, which means it's a negative relationship. It's a negative trend. Now, think about why the slope is so important, because the slope is what tells us that the trend is negative. Imagine if the slope was just zero. Imagine if the line was like this. What would that tell us? Think about it. Okay, it would tell us that no matter how high your body fat percentage was, maybe it was 100% body fat, your fitness score wouldn't change. It would just be the same. And we know that that wouldn't really make sense, right? Okay, what if the slope of the line was like this? What would that tell us? Would that make sense? I think you find that it wouldn't make sense, because what it would tell us is that as your body fat percentage went up, your fitness score also went up. And that usually is not true. Sometimes what you'll find with these big weightlifters is they have a high percent body fat, but they also have a lot of muscle too. They weigh a lot. But this is not a weightlifting test. This is just a general fitness test, which usually has to do with running. So this line that you see going up and to the right here, that would not make sense, right? Now, what if our line did something like this? What if it was a lot steeper negative? What would that mean? Compare line A to line B. Which one would you rather have? I know that I would rather have line B, because line B gives me more room for eating what I want, I guess. When we all like sweet things, let's not lie, but we should all try to watch what we're eating. But if you look at line A, what it's telling us is if our body fat goes up just a little bit, our fitness score goes way down. But for line B, it's a little more gradual, isn't it? The slope is not as steep. So what it tells us is that as our body fat percentage goes up, our fitness score goes down, but it doesn't go down as a quick rate. Because what you see is that for line A, it's much steeper. So that tells us that the line goes down at a faster rate because it's got a steeper slope. So as your body fat increases, your fitness score goes down a lot more dramatically. Okay, so line B, not so much, but it still goes down. Your fitness score still goes down as that body fat percentage increases. So let's just put some numbers into this. We'll make up some numbers here. So imagine that for this particular test that somebody had a body fat percentage of, let's just say 35. Put a line dot here. Maybe the scale is not perfect, okay? But let's say they had a body fat percentage of 35, which is pretty high, and they got a 10 on the fitness score. But then let's say that there's another person who had a body fat percentage of, let's say 10, and they got an 85. They got an 85 on the fitness score. So what is the slope of our fitness line? Well, the slope, if you remember, is rise over run. So the rise, now it's actually going down, is the difference in the y value. So it goes from 85 down to 10. So slope is rise over run. And as we said, in this case, it's going from 85 down to 10. So it's going down. It's going from 85 down to 10. So it's going down by 75 units, right? Because 85 minus 75 is 10. And what's the run? Well, it's going on the run, it's going from 10 over to 35. So it's going up by 25. So what is negative 75 divided by 25? Well, it's actually negative 3, or negative 3 over 1 if you wish. So the graph goes down 3 for every 1 unit that it goes over. Let me repeat that. The graph goes down 3 for every 1 that it goes over. Now, can you interpret that slope in terms of our scenario? Remember, the run is the body fat percentage and the rise is this fitness score. So I want you to think really carefully about what this slope means. What does that slope mean? Okay, here's what it means. It means from the slope, we can interpret the following. Okay, so let's write that out. So from the slope, we interpret that fitness scores go down by 3%, or by 3, okay, by 3, because we didn't say the fitness score was in percent, goes down by 3, we'll call it units, for every 1% that body fat increases. Okay, and I'll move this up so you can see it a little bit better, okay? But that's what the slope means. And so I hope what you notice here is that slope is really, really important, because that tells the researcher a whole lot about how, in this case, body fat and fitness scores are related, right? The slope tells us that as we increase our body fat by 1%, we can expect to get a decreased score by about 3 units in our fitness test. And imagine if the slope was steeper. What if the slope was like negative 10 over 1? Well, that would mean that for every 1% that we increased our body fat, our fitness score goes down by 10, okay? But what you need to understand is that that means that when a researcher is looking at a graph like the one above, one of the most important things they can possibly get out of that graph is the slope of the graph. So I hope you found that helpful, and we'll continue to analyze these graphs in our next set of videos.